Pastor Joel Osteen's sentence is final. Goodbye forever. For more than 2 decades, Joel Osteen built the biggest church in America on one simple promise: that God wants you to smile. Every Sunday, 52,000 people filled a former NBA arena in Houston to hear it. Hundreds of millions watched on television. 7 books hit #1 on the New York Times list. And through every storm that hit him, every scandal, every accusation, every viral moment, that smile never broke. But the storms kept coming. And now, in 2025, something has shifted that no book advance and no television appearance can fix. The court of public opinion has delivered its verdict. And the institution Joel Osteen spent his entire adult life building is paying a price he cannot charm his way out of. Joel Scott Osteen was born on March 5, 1963, in Houston, Texas, the fourth of 5 children of John and Dodie Osteen. His father, John, had founded Lakewood Church on Mother's Day 1959 in a converted feed store on the outskirts of Northeast Houston with about 90 people in attendance. By the time Joel was a teenager, Lakewood had thousands of members. But Joel himself had no desire to preach. For 17 years, from 1982 to 1999, he stayed behind the cameras, building his father's television ministry and directing production for Lakewood's broadcasts, which by then reached nearly 50 countries. Then, in January 1999, everything changed in the span of 6 days. On January 17, Joel preached his first sermon at age 35, nervous enough to wear his father's shoes for emotional support, while John listened over the phone from a hospital bed. 6 days later, John Osteen was gone. He died of a heart attack on January 23 at age 77. Joel took the pulpit. He dropped his father's fire and brimstone style and replaced it with something new: relentless positivity. God wants you to excel. God wants you to prosper. God wants you to live your best life now. The crowd loved it. By December 2001, Houston City Council approved Lakewood's takeover of the former Compaq Center, the arena where the Houston Rockets once played. In July 2005, 56,000 people showed up for the grand opening. It became the largest church in the United States, and Joel Osteen became a national brand. His first book, Your Best Life Now, hit #1 on the New York Times self-help list in 2004, stayed there for more than 2 years, and sold over 8 million copies worldwide. He followed it with Become a Better You, reportedly backed by an advance north of $8.5 million. 7 #1 bestsellers followed. In 2005, he stopped taking his $200,000 annual salary from Lakewood, choosing instead to live off book royalties and speaking fees reported at around $50,000 per outside appearance. His personal wealth is commonly estimated at $100 million. He and Victoria bought a 17,000-square-foot mansion in Houston's River Oaks neighborhood in 2010 for $10.5 million, a property now estimated to be worth up to $16 million. But even as the money piled up, so did the questions. Ministry Watch gave Lakewood an F for financial transparency and a donor confidence score of 3 out of 100. Because Lakewood is a church, it is tax-exempt and not required to file public financial disclosures. Reports from the Houston Chronicle and Financial Times found that less than 1.5% of Lakewood's income went to charitable causes, roughly $1.2 million out of $89 million in fiscal year 2017 revenue. Then came Hurricane Harvey in August 2017. When the storm dumped more than 60 inches of rain on Houston and left families stranded on rooftops, Lakewood posted a Facebook message saying the building was inaccessible due to flooding. Social media exploded. People drove to the church and filmed what appeared to be dry streets. While Osteen went on a defensive media tour, his neighbor in the public's heart that week was Jim Mackingvale Mattress Mac, who had already opened his furniture stores and sent trucks out to rescue stranded families. The contrast was brutal and permanent. Osteen eventually admitted that if he had it to do over, he would have had staff in the building before the storm with beds already set up. But that admission came too late to matter. Then came the money in the wall. In March 2014, $600,000 had vanished from Lakewood's safe, $200,000 in cash and $400,000 in checks. The case went cold. Then in November 2021, a plumber named Justin Colley, fixing a loose toilet, pushed aside some insulation and watched roughly 500 envelopes tumble out of the wall. Cash, checks, and money orders. Houston police connected the recovered evidence to the 2014 theft. But by then, the statute of limitations had expired. No charges. No arrests. Colley received the $20,000 reward Lakewood had offered years earlier and said the money would help with his bills. Then came the pandemic. In July 2020, while in-person services were suspended, Lakewood applied for and received $4.4 million in Paycheck Protection Program funds, the third largest PPP loan in the Houston area. When the Houston Chronicle reported it in December of that year, the hashtag to tax the churches started trending nationally. Osteen's team defended it as necessary to protect 368 employees. Eventually, Lakewood announced it would repay the full amount rather than seek forgiveness of the loan. But the hardest moment of all came on February 11, 2024. A 36-year-old woman named Janesse Yvonne Moreno walked into Lakewood Church carrying an AR-15 style rifle. She opened fire. Two off-duty law enforcement officers working church security returned fire and killed her. But her 7-year-old son, Samuel, who she had brought with her, was shot in the head. He underwent 5 brain surgeries. Doctors said the words that stopped the country cold: "Sam will never be Sam again." A year later, in February 2025, Houston police turned the investigation over to prosecutors for grand jury review, with the case centering on how Moreno had been able to legally purchase the weapon despite a documented history of schizophrenia. The violence did not stop there. On Christmas Eve 2024, a man called the FBI tip line and threatened to release sarin nerve gas inside Lakewood during a candlelight service with around 5,000 people present. The man, Aaron Supps, was arrested. In March 2025, a federal grand jury indicted him on a terrorism charge. And the legal exposure for the institution keeps growing. A volunteer named Daniel Guzman has filed a $10 million lawsuit alleging that Lakewood's failures, including the failure to secure video evidence and properly train staff, led to him being wrongfully accused and permanently damaged. The complaint alleges failures to act, delayed reporting, and what it calls malicious intent. Lakewood faces that case with the shooting investigation still open, its financial transparency rating still at the floor, and its public image still scarred from years of accumulated controversy. Joel Osteen has never been arrested. He has never been criminally charged. He still preaches every Sunday. The smile is still there. But something has changed. The people who once defended him reflexively are quieter now. The critics who spent years being dismissed are speaking with more force than ever. The institution he inherited from his father and turned into the largest church in America is facing legal actions, open investigations, and a level of institutional scrutiny it has never seen before. When the $100 million Bank of America loan was finally paid off in December 2023, Osteen wept on stage. He called it a miracle. Whether the next chapter looks like another miracle or something else entirely is a question 2025 has not finished answering.